our platform in this election, which I hope you've all gone to look at on the website. We're really proud of it. We have a fully costed ballot. We show exactly what we're doing and how we're doing it out 3 years so you can measure how we're doing. And we were, compared to the Conservative budget, bringing down the deficit faster than they were. Now, of course, their deficit numbers, even under the budget for March, were based on a kind of a magical thinking that there was just going to be endlessly good times and more money rolling in from corporations, even though they were dramatically cutting the corporate tax rate. Now, we've, of course, figured out exactly how we're going to move forward. And then, just a few days ago, Stephen Harper went and announced that they were going to eliminate $11 billion in spending without any description of where he would find that $11 billion. I'm pretty sure he's not canceling the F-35s. No. And I'm pretty sure he's not canceling the building of all the prisons we don't need. No. So that makes me very fearful about where he thinks he's going to get $11 billion in cuts. The other thing I should let you know is they were going to give the Conservatives a run for their money here. Well, actually, the Conservatives aren't using their money. They're using our money. Yeah. So that's another problem we have. I mean, we all remember that Stephen Harper came to government through the nonstop campaign of 2006 against the Liberal sponsorship scandal. And the ways in which the Conservative government under Stephen Harper have used tax dollars to tell us how great they are makes the Liberal sponsorship scandal, so-called, look like a little tea party. Yeah. They've used tens of millions of dollars. I mean, I'm sure you've all noticed how the now that's a joke, the economic stimulus package has been sold and oversold and oversold, and even right up until this election, they were running an unprecedented level of federal advertisements. I mean, no government has ever spent what these guys have spent on advertising to tell us all about the advantages of the programs that just ended. First of all, I'm really excited to see so many students here, to see young people really engage in the political process. We've always had a strong base in Guelph, but it's a base we don't take for granted. It's really important to organize through the community, to work with Rob, to get out the lawn signs, to make sure that the student vote here on Wednesday is as strong as possible, and that we continue the campaign right up until May 2nd. But the bottom line is, I found this out from a friend of mine, old friend from Sierra Club US, who had worked in the Obama campaign. I didn't know there was a name for this. I described to him what I saw the Harper Conservatives doing in terms of trying to reduce voter turnout. That's how, in 2008, they won more seats, but they had fewer votes than '06. How many people knew that? They didn't expand their base by even one single vote. They had 170,000 fewer voters in '08 than in '06. So how on earth did they get more seats? Because the Liberals had 770,000 fewer votes. Because the NDP had 200-some thousand fewer votes. And the Greens were the only party in the country that grew our vote between '08 and '06 by almost 300,000 votes. Back to my old friend from Sierra Club in the U.S., he said, oh yeah, the U.S. Republicans do that all the time. They call it voter suppression. They have a name for it. It's an official tactic to help certain parties. They don't want people to vote. And that's a message we need to get out there, because I think one of the main reasons that I hear from Canadians of all ages who've decided not to vote is that for some reason, misunderstanding the political process as through our media, there's a lot of ways in which our political process is misrepresented. I hear voters say, well, you know, I look at what's going on in Ottawa, and I've decided to stop encouraging them. How many times have you ever heard anyone say that? I just don't want to encourage them. I look at what politicians do, and I think, I don't want to have anything to do with them, so I'm not voting. You've just fallen into exactly the cynical trap that they've established. It's great to be back in Waterloo.
Welcome, welcome.
We have the most wonderful candidates. They're great people. They're really more concerned about the planet than themselves. That's one thing that pulls us together. Not one of our candidates is looking at this as a gravy train, really. And you can, for one thing, most of us don't eat gravy. We're mostly vegetarian. In any case, we are a wonderful group right across Canada. I get so frustrated when the media says, You're just a one-person party. I say, no, you got that wrong. That's the Conservatives. And the one thing that binds us as Greens all around the world is a commitment to global green values. And the global green values include the commitment to an ecological sustainability, human rights, respect for diversity, social justice, and a global commitment to nonviolence and peace. We are not a one-issue party. We never were. We're not a one-person party. We never were. We're a party with 308 candidates from coast to coast to coast who represent the best of what this country can be. I don't know if you've heard, the consortium's changed its mind. Not about me. The consortium, that group of media executives who haven't ever had a consistent thought pattern in the time I've known them, have last week said that the debates are all organized. They said this in court, the Federal Court of Appeal. There's no way to make a last-minute change. Everything's locked in. But they just announced they have some flexibility. They've moved the date of the French debate from Thursday to Wednesday, so it won't be up against the Stanley Cup playoffs. We've fallen short of real democracy in Canada. We've been letting it slip away by inches. We haven't woken up to the threat. In the eyes of the world, Canada used to stand strong and clearly against practices such as capital punishment. Every year in the United Nations, Canada used to co-sponsor the resolution to treat capital punishment as an offense to the International Declaration of Human Rights. Not anymore. Canada, our Prime Minister and his government, have ignored a Supreme Court of Canada ruling that said Omar Khadr, his rights as a Canadian citizen are being infringed. The government of Canada has an obligation to get that young man out of Guantanamo Bay. He was a child soldier, clearly brainwashed in his family situation. We'll leave that aside. We are obliged, under treaties and declarations we have taken under the United Nations, not to leave any Canadian citizen in a situation in which they are tortured. That's pretty basic. But we have done so. In the eyes of the world, Canada has become another country. We don't know what country it is, really. We're still the same people. The vast majority of Canadians find these stories distressing. The vast majority of Canadians know that we stand for compassion, for human rights, for global leadership on environmental concerns. I know we can restore Canada to its proper place in the world. I'm hopeful as all get out, and